Are we live? Can you hear me? If you can hear me, give me a 5x5. If not, I'm going to have to switch from this internet connection to the hotspot. 5x5. Okay, good. We're in here. Chaos imminent. I know some people. Let me back that up a little bit. Let me welcome all y'all. Black Cat, Robin Prater, glad you're here. Dylan, good to see you. Chaos Prepper. And I believe it was Black Cat. Yes. Yesterday you were saying OFC. And remember, that was my previous channel. Order from Chaos. Yes. They will ultimately bring order from chaos. The problem is they have to create the chaos. And if you think that what we've seen is chaos, then you've got another thing coming, because it's just the tip of the iceberg. All right. And the reason I say 2025, I've had a lot of suspicion for a while, for a few years. In fact, I was talking with John on the phone, I think back in 2020. And he was like, man, Rob, when do you think things are going to start to really pop? And I was like, 2025. That was my straight up answer. 2025. I think you're good until 2025. I said 2025, I think things are really going to be starting to really get a good roll going. Okay. And there are lots of different things that I see, open source intel, just basic observation that leads me to believe this, along with, the Agenda 2020, now Agenda 2030. A lot of people are always under the misconception that, by 2030, that's their goals. If you actually look at what they say versus what they do, it tends to be that is when that part of their agenda actually starts to take form, to solidify. All right. For example, we all heard old Alex Jones, and he's back on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. It's X now. He was always preaching Agenda 2020. What we really, if you look back at Agenda 2020, United Nations Agenda 2020, the things that were in it didn't start taking place till now, after 2020. They started getting a grip. The eating of the bugs, processing bugs in insects into proteins and things like that. It started in 2020 to actually take off. They planned it before, and they said, this is our plan for 2020. And a lot of people just assume, it hasn't happened by 2020, so it didn't happen. And 2030, they're planning on this. No, in 2030, that's when things will actually start. They'll lay the foundations now so that it can start happening in that time period. But back to the topic at hand, why I think 2025 is going to be pretty interesting. Okay. And, I get told a lot that I don't take shit seriously. And the reason I don't take shit seriously, if you've ever heard of Vet TV, all right, you spend 2 decades in a constant state of war readiness, and actual warfare. Your sense of humor becomes kind of dark. You kind of have a very pessimistic view on the world and life in general. And that no matter what happens, sometime eventually a shoe's going to drop and shit's going to go sideways. And you just deal with it, and you crack dark, sadistic jokes, and you just roll on with it. Okay. Most veterans out there will tell you the exact same thing. Yes, we have a dark sense of humor. We laugh about death, stuff getting blown up, fucked up, pardon my language, and the like. Okay. We joke about things like that. So yes. Do I think shit will go sideways? Absolutely. Am I worried about it? Not really at all. Because there's nothing, as I've said before, there's nothing that we as individuals can actually do to stop it. All we can do is prepare the best we can to ride it out. Okay. The reason you're going to see things in 2025 is because no matter who wins, society in the United States is going to lose. Okay. Because no matter who wins, bad things are going to happen. All right. Like they were saying in 2020, for the 2020 election, They weren't boarding up windows of stores to prevent the right from rioting if Biden lost. Okay? They were doing that so the left, because they would riot just like they did the summers before. And they will again if the right wins, right, left, same bird, they're the goals. The bird's going to land somewhere, all right? It's going to have both wings on it when it does land, all right? But the goals are basically in opposition and working together at the same time. I know that's a hard concept for some people to actually grasp, but they will both cause chaos, okay? The rich want to stay rich. They want to keep their power base, which is you, me, people on the right and people on the left. They want to keep those. They want to get rid of those who buck the system. All right. I'm not saying people like you and me, but it may be people like you and me. All right. Definitely Dynamite. He's not even in here because he's out goofing off. Hell, I don't even have a moderator. So there's that. But it's okay. We'll get back. I'll hop in the chat here in a few minutes. If the left loses this election next year, there's a strong probability you're going to see violence in the streets the day of the election, all the way up to an inauguration. Okay? And then after inauguration, you'll see someone turn TV on. Angel, turn TV on. Distracted me. It's okay. And into the inauguration and after in 2025, you'll see the left going ape shit. Okay. You'll see probably a crackdown from the right. This is if the right wins. You'll start to see more of the funding the police movement, the more of the militarization of law enforcement, cracking down on things like rioting. Okay. Mostly peaceful protests like January 6th. I mean, like Missouri or Minneapolis or wherever, the mostly peaceful, or Seattle, mostly peaceful protests. Didn't they burn down an entire police station there? I mean, I thought that was pretty cool myself. I was like, because, I'm anti-establishment law enforcement. I like sheriff's departments, constitutional. I don't like corporate entities that wear badges, though. So there's that.
Moderators there.
Oh, yes, you're right. My moderator just popped in. Yes, slacking. See, someone who can't do their job without internet. Anyway, you'll start to see more of the, especially if the orange man gets in there. If the orange man bad, I don't think so. But if the orange man gets in there, you're going to see more of a call for entities to be less tolerant of the far left agenda. All right. There are many people in this thread and in this community that I live in that would like to see a little bit more of a firmness with the far left agenda. All right. For example, Iowa right now, in the Iowa State House, there is because of freedom of speech, a little statue thing that they did for Lucifer. All right. Because it's the Christmas season. So they figured, well, the Church of Satan decided to put in a statue of Lucifer in the courthouse or the state house of Iowa. Go look it up if you haven't heard about it. Some people are really upset about that. Again, goes back to that freedom of speech and isn't free. But you'll see a lot more people wanting to crack down on that. And we'll have at least a good 4 years to do that. On the other hand, if the left wins, all right, these are the people who during the lockdowns for that bug that was going around, the C-19 thing, these are the people that wanted to re-educate the people on the right that had no problems literally putting them in train cars to re-education camps, who have said such on national TV. All right. I don't know where I've heard trains and and buses full of people to camps before, but it normally doesn't end well. All right. So you've already got that mentality on the left. All right. And so if they take power for another 4 or 8 years, you can better well damn sure bet that they're going to start ramping that shit up. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Can we agree on that? Because at the end of the day, everyone, pretty much my generation and up, most of you guys are my age or older. All right. There's a few of you that are younger. But conservative America is a thing of the past right now. We've been in for the past 15, maybe 20 years, a little bit longer, a transition phase. This is the hard part of the transition phase where they're really ramping shit up. All right. To create a new society, the new Star Trek, kumbaya, digital age where nobody works and everybody gets something for nothing. Magical unicorn shit. All right. That I don't understand how it works out. But anyway, they want to create that. You can't create something new, a new society, without destroying the old society, because the old societal values don't comply, don't interlock. They don't work well with the new societal norms, anti-morals, whatever you want to call it, values, anything like that. They don't work. So you must destroy the old to get to the new. That's the process we're in right now. They're slowly destroying all the old values. All right. And the only people left alive, keeping these values alive, are people like you and me that are trying to instill these in our children to some degree of success and some degree of failure, because we're constantly battling the government and their agenda. And they have our kids most of the time, because most of our kids, there are exceptions, go to public or private schools where they're out of our hands. So they have more time with the child than we have. So because of that, even in my generation, they were starting to shift the ideas, the values. It's very rare when you get people like me that grow up in poverty, grow up being taken care of primarily by the state via welfare, food stamps, public education, that we actually get out into the real world, see things as it is, and go, wait a minute. Everything I was taught, half of it was bullshit. All right. So they've got to destroy all that. They've got to uproot and rip out all the stuff we're trying to pound into our kids to create theirs, their new happy-go-lucky unicorn rainbow fairy tale land. Now, the only way to get back to core values, whether you want to call them religious values or just good old-fashioned morals, whatever you want to call it, the clan living, the family unit, to get back to that, we would have to destroy this new thing they're trying to build, the new society. You can't actually go back. You have to continue to roll forward, but you have to destroy everything in its path. Think, okay, for my Bible people out there, all right, and you all know, Bible's in my view, the Bible is a good guide. All right, I do have questions about its completeness. Okay, but for my Bible people out there, in the book of Genesis, there was a great flood. What was the purpose of the flood? To create a new world. It wasn't to destroy one. Well, it was. It wasn't to destroy everything. It wanted to keep the animals, wanted to keep the good stuff. So you insulated the good stuff and the good people. And meanwhile, you just wreaked absolute freaking havoc on everything else. All right? You can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. So that is going to happen. Okay? And either they are going to, and you've seen throughout history, just look at history. Google civil wars globally. Google genocides. There's more than one that has happened. There's more than 5 that have happened. There have been lots. All right. Google's societal collapses throughout history. Google those things and start reading. Do it tonight, just for shits and giggles. You're on your phone anyway. Do it. But one's going to destroy the other. Either our society, our belief systems, people like us, are going to destroy people like them, or a large portion of them, or they are going to wipe out a large portion of us. That's the way you get back to a stable society. Because again, it all goes back to oil and water don't mix. Oil and water don't mix. This unicorn vision, of coexistence. When I see that on somebody's bumper sticker, I'm like, you are a moron, because they fail to grasp basic human nature. We are animals, period. Higher thinking animals, yes, higher functioning animals, but we are animals, and we survive best in our tribal environments. And when you have 2 or more rival tribes in one territory, shit's going to get real at some point, because there is no such thing as peaceful coexistence amongst opposites. Okay? So that's what's going to happen. Well, yes, you may see some stuff leading up in 2024, but I think 2024 is going to be mostly peaceful. And the reason I say this is because the left doesn't want their power base to tip their hat, if you will. They don't want to show their cards right away. They don't want to say, they don't want to scare people into voting rights. So the lefties are going to be on their best behavior up till election day. And if shit doesn't go their way, just like a child, they're going to throw a tantrum like you haven't seen for a while. So between now and then, get your shit together. All right. And like I said, you don't have to, you can stack to the rafters if you want, if you can, whatever. But if you can't, and I've heard John say it. I've heard a lot of people say, there are people that will hop in a chat and they'll say, well, I just can't afford to prep. Bullshit. All right. Because I was at Walmart today. Yes. And a can of soup, about $1. All right. If you buy 1 extra can of soup every week, that's 52 extra cans of soup at the end of a year. If you can't come up with $1 a week, then you're just lazy. Okay. You could find $1 a week. You can go out and collect 100 cans off the side of the road and recycle them and get $1. All right. So you're being lazy if you can't come up with an extra $1. At the end of the year, you got 52 cans of soup times 5 years. All right. Shit hits the fan in 5 years from the time you started getting your soup. You're okay for a little bit. All right. Think about that. You got 250 cans of soup, give or take. Yeah, you can eat for a while. You can feed your kids. You can feed your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister. For at least a month. Just saying. So don't make excuses. Make solutions. All right. And get ready for the chaos that's coming in 2025. One way or another, you're going to see some chaos in 2025. Just saying. And that's not to include if some global shit pops off in the next year, months, weeks, whatever. That's barring external actors. Push them over there for that. Yes, all kinds of shit. They could red dawn us tomorrow. We wake up Christmas morning talking about, oh, look at that's not Santa's sleigh. That's a Hercules with people jumping out of it. Whatever. I mean, could happen. Probably won't happen. Could. Never know. But you can guarantee I promise you, there will be some shit in 2025 or shortly after the election in 2024. All right. If the left doesn't win, use it. And if the left wins, you'll see some stuff in 25, probably a lot less, but you'll still see shit in 2025. Some stuff that you're gonna go like, damn, Rob was right. And if I'm wrong, well, I'll see you here now, and I'll just be like, well, I guess I didn't call that one very good. But I'm usually not too far off the mark. All right. Let me hop in the chat real quick. If you have something that you want to say to me, just put a smiley face by it so it'll draw my eye. I see a bunch of fist bump to everybody that's out there. Hi, Big German. How you doing? Let me scroll up. This stupid thing. I hate this thing. Try to click on this. Okay. Yeah, it just highlighted everything. Tracy Buchanan. Pilgrim says he does believe it's coming, and I wish it would just unhighlight everything. Okay, there we go. Now I'm unhighlighted. Oh, who all we got in here still? Militant Roots. If my broke ass brother can prep, anyone can. Oh, Militant Roots. Who was it? Who was I talking to? I'm missing a notebook. Who was I talking to that was talking about synthetic something or other? Synthetic. Oh, crap. It was about making shit. Yeah, it was you, Militant Roots. Synthetic. What was the word? Synthetic. I can't think of it right now. Type it in there. Synthetic morphology. Okay, I did dive into that because I said I would, and I was meaning to get back to you on that, but my mind's like squirrel. Anyway, the one thing that you're failing to recognize from that synthetic morphology, if you actually dive into their research and look at multiple different sites and multiple different agencies that are dealing with that shit. Yeah, it's some hoodoo voodoo, chimeric stuff like Alex Jones talks about quite frequently, where you can take a set of cells and morph it into different organisms, this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, they all start with a living cell. They have no way, none of the synthetic morphologists have any way of creating the original living cell. They adapt that cell. They'll take cells from nature, different cells from different species, and then from the original cell, they'll make new things. But no one that we know personally, unless God talks to you, can make the original first cell. That cell. None. All right. So, like I said, I do not know 100% what God is, but whatever or whoever creates those first cells of life from nothingness, whoever can take the molecules and put them there, that is God. And I got a pretty good description of how he rolls based off a lot of books I've read. Yes, we'll just leave it at that. So, Bamagen, bam! That's what I call it, Bamagen. No, it's because you're Alabama. I get it now. I'm slow with some stuff like that, like Kentucky Living or whatever, Kentucky, whatever that guy's, whoever the name with the Kentucky. For the longest time, I thought it was KY. Survivor, Kentucky Survivor. That's it. I was like, KY Survivor. Ooh, that sounds like a prison nickname. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed that because that was just funny. That's funny. All right, I gotta go get the babies. So you may see me before the weekend's over, may not. If you do, you're gonna have little ones popping their heads up. Hi. Some of them just staring with little shark eyes because they don't want to talk because they understand the concept that everyone's watching them. But yes, I'll tell the babies that you said hi. And that is weird because hi, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's an 8-second delay between me talking to you here and me seeing myself on the big TV screen over there. And that's just, I just realized I was over there. But all right. Thank you all. Good night. God bless. Take care of yourselves this weekend. Oh, weekend safety tip. All right. Weekend safety tip. I hope are you still here? You better still be here if you want this weekend safety tip. Remember, if something happens, and you should be strapped up no matter where you go. But if something happens, you're in your vehicle and somebody road rage, whatever. If you're inside of a vehicle shooting out through the windshield, bullets tend to curve up. All right. They change from when they hit the windshield, they change going outbound to about from 2 to almost 5 degrees in angle. So if you're shooting at somebody approaching your vehicle, aim low so you don't sail them over their head. If somebody's in a vehicle coming at you and you're shooting from the outside into the vehicle, bullets tend to hit the windshield and curve down. Okay? Safety tip, just so you know. All right. Good night. God bless. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate all of you. And I'm out.